hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, happy day to you all. Good evening to you all, and welcome to the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and you're stuck with me for as long as you tune in because I'm putting on a show, and thank God you're here to watch it because otherwise this would be a whole lot to do for nothing. But hope you guys had a great day, and thanks so much for being here and spending your evening with me. Thursday night, wow, it's just cruising by. This whole week has been flying, but hello Gemini, good to see you, and hello to everyone else in the chat room. Great to see you guys coming in. Bigfoot Odyssey, how you doing, brother? Great to see you. Isaac, great to see you. Gemini, Isaac again. Beth is in here. Yeah, it's really cool. You guys are coming in the door and keeping me company. Hello, Renee. Renee got the top spot again. I don't know how you do it, Renee. I swear to God, you must I don't know, you're just like right in the door. You almost beat me in here, and I'm the one starting the stream. I don't know how you pull it off, but glad you're here again. And hope everybody's having a wonderful night. But as always on the Paranormal Portal, Bedtime Stories from Beyond, the phone lines are open if you want to call in and be a part of the show. I'd love to hear from you. The phone number is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. It's always a good time to call if you've got something to share. If it's a story of your own, or if even if it's a part of some phenomena you want to discuss, I kind of keep it pretty open on the shows, even if we're just talking about ghosts. If you got something that happened to you that you really want to share, just call in and share it. It doesn't have to be always theme specific. And as you know, if you've been around the Paranormal Portal for any length of time, there really isn't a theme to any of the shows. They just kind of, I start the shows with an idea, but then the conversation just goes the way it goes because we keep it real organic on the show. The show is completely organic. It's just a discussion, and the discussion ends up where the discussion ends up, and I'm okay with that. So we're never married to a theme unless there's a guest on. Then, of course, it's a different deal, but otherwise, just, call in and take part of it. Do whatever you want. Thanks, Josh. Love you too. That's great to hear. I appreciate that. All right, so we are off and running, but I hope you all are ready because it's time for bed. All right, so I wonder if any of you all are feeling this too, but don't you just feel like there's like a whole tension in the air? And some people attribute it to the whole retrograde stuff. And I didn't used to know too much about that other than in maybe the last year I started hearing about retrogrades and what that meant and stuff. And I got to admit, there might be something to this stuff. I don't know. I never would have thought so before, but you can just feel it. It's like palpable in the air, and sometimes you can almost cut the tension with the knife, and it's like, wow, what's going on? And I never used to know, but now that I've learned a little bit about astrology and such, it's like, well, maybe there is something to this stuff. I never really gave it too much thought, and it's not that I discounted it, but it's just like, wow, when these retrogrades happen, I'm feeling them, and maybe it's just a an exercise of getting older too, and that every day is a little heavier than it ever used to be. But it just considers it's considered. I'm considering the idea that there is something to the whole stars and how they may influence the energy around us. I'm not saying that they control our destiny and stuff. I don't believe anything controls our destiny except us. But I do believe that they can certainly influence the energies around us. And there can be some times that are really great to start things, and there can be some times that aren't really great to start things. And I think that maybe paying attention to astrology is probably not a bad idea, and it certainly can't hurt. I don't know. Maybe even the Bible says, then it puts lights in the firmament, and they shall be used for signs and seasons. So, I don't know. Some people are real worried about stuff like that due to their religious backgrounds, and I understand that. But I don't know. I think everything is as it is, and I don't even know if that makes sense or not, but it does to me. So that's what's important. But I got some stories for you guys. I just thought I'd throw that in there because lately I've just felt like it's just so damn heavy, and I'm just like, what's going on? And then I learned like everything's in retrograde right now, and it's like, oh, maybe there is something to this retrograde stuff. Maybe there is. Maybe I better take some precautions. So I actually learned about, of all things, carrying a stone, and a specific stone. Tiger's eye is what I heard, and I carry it with me, and maybe it's a placebo effect. Maybe it is, but I think it kind of helps. So we'll hopefully get through this retrograde stuff pretty quickly and get on with it. But everything has to have a season, I guess. So all right, so I got some stories lined up for you guys. I hope you're going to enjoy them. I think right around the 2nd of July. What is? When did retrograde start? Yeah. So it's like, it's not just Mercury, though. It's like there was like 5 planets in retrograde or something astronomical like that. I don't know if all of them mean like things are tough, but Mercury in retrograde is usually a real deuce. So that's code for dukers. But anyway, first one tonight's coming out of Oregon, ladies and gentlemen, and let's see what's going on in Oregon. All right. I just want to say, I love how, hold on, I got to get through the fluffy stuff. Some of these stories start out with such a bunch of fluffy crap that it doesn't really play into the narrative. Okay, it was about 4 p.m, and I had just picked up my son at the bus stop, and when we got home, I reached back, like I always do, to undo his safety harness, and I opened my door to get out, and I decided to grab the stuff I had sitting in the passenger seat, and I could hear my son putting on his backpack behind me, and while I was leaning over collecting my stuff with both hands, I thought my son had gotten out of the car before me and had jabbed me really hard in the ribs, the side facing my open door. I sat up and grabbed my side, still tingling, but was more shocked to see my son was not beside me standing at the door. He was still in the back seat getting his stuff. I looked around for my neighbor, I live in a duplex, to see if he was playing a trick, which is not something he's ever done, but I thought it was a possibility, and he just wasn't around either. So I even checked around my vehicle to make sure nobody was there. I had a similar experience before that. I owned a home that was built in 1945 in a small town about 3.5 hours from where I live now, and the experience was about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was morning time, and I just finished taking a shower and to get ready for work, and the shower made me really lethargic and sleepy, so I lay down on the bed and just wrapped in my towel. I didn't dare put the covers on, as I would have totally fallen back asleep, and I just wanted to rest for a moment, and I was laying on my side with my hands under my head, and not a minute later I felt my side push in. I felt my skin compress under some pressure. It was gentle but slow, and felt a tingly sensation in the area. Needless to say, I got my clothes on quick and went to work without makeup and stuff. So, in fact, the house I just mentioned had several experiences, but I'll only tell one more, and the ones I am telling, I can't find logical non-paranormal explanations for. Ones that could be due to electrical problems in the house I'll leave out, but they're still really creepy. So I'm in the same house again in the morning, but on a weekend, and I think around 8 in the morning, and I was wide awake, and my husband was at the time was at work, and he usually works 6 days a week. And I was laying there enjoying the beautiful morning, and I could hear the birds chirping right outside the window. The sun was shining. The sky was absolutely blue and pristine, and I could hear the squirrel bouncing across my roof over my room, just like he did almost every morning. And I heard my son pattering through the kitchen, and I closed my eyes to do our morning ritual. He was not yet 4 years old, and we could, when he would get to my doorway, he would try to be sneaky, tiptoe across the floor and get really close to the bed and jump on it to see if he could scare me. Well, I was laying there waiting for what felt like 10 minutes, and he didn't jump on the bed. And I got up and looked around the bed and under the bed to see if he came up with something new. And I walked through the kitchen to his room, and he was completely asleep. I tapped his side lightly and did some goofy things that he can't help but laugh, and even when he was pretending to be asleep, and he was no doubt sound asleep. I was confused. I felt the vibrations and the sound of bare feet on the linoleum, and I still can't think of anything else it could have been. For the record, the ghost I think was in that house, I believe to be a young boy, for various reasons, and most things seemed like things a curious child would do. Yeah, those are tough. I don't like to think that there's little children just abandoned or stranded or whatever. I don't know. It's, of course I don't want to believe that, because I want to believe that the universe is just, and there's goodness, and the purity and innocence of children is sacred. And, I don't understand how a beautiful little soul like that could just be discarded and left to wander. Yeah, I mean, I know the explanations for it, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, I do. It's just I still wrestle with that. I still wrestle with how, because I do believe in a higher power. I really do. I do believe there is a being that started this all, and I think that being is love. And I can't imagine this being of love and perfection leaving these little angels to fend for themselves and, alone and helpless like that. It just tears my heart out. I don't understand it. So, and quite honestly, I think that most of them aren't really children at all. I think they're just, as I've stated many times on the show, I think that in many cases they are something else that's appearing like a child, because it's a great way to get people to put their defenses down. But I do believe there are some little children spirits around. I just don't know how. I don't know how that's possible. It's like something's broken for that to happen. So, but I don't know. I can't pretend to understand everything, I guess. Just my 2 cents. Let's see. Sorry. I got a cat hair on my nose somewhere. My cat has this angelically fine hair, and it always seems to find my nostrils, and it just drives me crazy. Love my cat, but he's just a fluffy thing. The next one's coming out of, this one's the one I just read. Derp. All right, let me close that before I reread it again and look really amateurish. Okay, so this is, I know everything, yeah. I wish I did. I wish I could understand everything, Cha-Cha, but that's one of those things I just can't. I can't understand it. I don't know what to make of it. There's some things I just can't get my head around, and that's one of them. So this one's Florida, coming out of Florida. When she was younger, my little sister used to be terribly frightened for unknown reasons. She would just stop playing all of a sudden and run crying to my mom. And at this time, I was looking into the supernatural, and after researching some incidents, I came to my mother with an explanation. I claimed that my sister might be sensitive, but was turned down, seeing as I was only 13 at the time, and my sister ran to my mom in fright more and more often. But when she started school, it completely stopped. I thought that perhaps the spirit had left. 2 years later, my mom told me that she thought my sister might be sensitive. After the I told you so, I explained what a sensitive child was to my mother, and my mother said that my sister fell asleep in her bed but woke up around 10:30, and my sister told my mom that she had a dream that the TV turned off by itself, and it scared her. Waving it off, my mom got my sister back to sleep. But not even 5 minutes later, the TV turned off. And then my mother turned it back on. The picture was an odd series of black, white, and gray fuzz that was unusual for our TV. No matter how hard my mom tried, she could not get the TV working. And every time it was the same odd fuzz. It wasn't until the next morning that the picture came back, and we've unsuccessfully tried to get the same fuzz for a week and a half now, but have not been able to duplicate it. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Little sensitive sisters. All right, the next one's coming out of Oklahoma. All right, so Oklahoma. So I was about 6, and I was sitting in my bed. I couldn't go to sleep, just laying there. My dad walked by my room. "You need to go to bed." I said, "Okay." And he walked to the living room, and I sat there awake for a little while longer. I hear my dad snoring, and I'm sure everyone else in the house is asleep. And then I hear a clang all of a sudden coming from the kitchen, and along with some knocks and a lot of different stuff. So I sit in